Welcome to the Sacred Feminine Power podcast, where we explore the many facets of feminine power and why it is so important for women and for men to step into this power in our world at this time. This is Emmy from Feminine Revered, and I am honored and super excited to present today's guest, Don Oscar Miro-Quesada. Don Oscar, a transpersonal psychologist and respected Kamasca curandero and Altomi Sayok adept from Peru, is the originator of Pachakuti Mesa tradition, cross-cultural shamanism, founder of the Heart of the Healer Shamanic Mystery School, fellow in ethnopsychology with the Organization of American States, and invited observer to the United Nations Forum on Indigenous Issues. Don Oscar is returning to the podcast, and I cannot wait to see where our conversation takes us today. So, welcome, Don Oscar. It is so good to have you with us.
Aim Punchao, Warmicha, Emmy, thank you so much for opening up the space for us to dance together in healing service to the world. It's an honor to be back here.
Blessed be. Thank you so much for your time. And because we're doing a video session today, I just realized that I've got the pin on you. So let me just make sure that it's featuring both of us. That's it. That's perfect. All right, Don Oscar. As I said, it's an honor to have you with us. And because you've been on the show before, I'm not going to go through the same core questions that I usually ask my guests, but I would love to hear more about your personal journey and hear a little bit more about how it was that you came to step onto this beautiful path of a healer and a shaman that you are on.
Well, as you can well imagine, Emmy, this was an evolutionary process that was initiated countless lifetimes ago. In a sense, I'm just right now establishing who I am as a servant of our great cosmic mother's yearning and to be whole and complete and of a sustaining presence in the life of humankind. So in this lifetime, there were various steps and phases that begin in my very young infancy that took place as a child in Peru that were complemented by various other experiences over time to brought me to this present moment. So I'm going to try to briefly tell you how these steps took place, because they all included encounters with quite magical situations and quite sometimes incredulous events. And that stimulated my interest in the shamanic arts as well as cross-cultural ethno-spiritual traditions that I've incorporated into my healing path, known as the Pachakuti Mesa tradition of cross-cultural shamanism. Yet, just in case people are wondering what this background is about, it ties into this story. Because behind me, you will see a map of the continental United States with part of British Columbia and Canada. And I live currently in the state of Florida, and there is a southeast to northwest directional pattern or line going up from there, which mimics our ancestral Andean prophecies of La Ruta de Viracocha, or Viracocha's route. And it so happens that I've come to a place in my life where my entire medicine lodge, my altar mayor, that my beloved Cindy and my wife and myself have been custodians of for decades, the time has come to pass it forward into the care of other Pachakuti Mesa tradition practitioners. In this particular case, that we're going to be day after tomorrow, beginning its journey across the continental United States from Florida all the way to British Columbia, Canada, to a place called Nelson, to Star River Sanctuary. And we're going to reassemble it there. And that's going to be in the Northwest, the area that it's going to impact its most influence as a shamanic source of evolutionary transformation for humanity. So that's what that map is about. Beneath it, you'll see another map that has the same northwest to southeast or southeast to northwest diagonal line that mimics the Earth's inclination or tilt, the axis of the tilt toward the galactic center, which in the Andes is understood as the Chascamayo, or the river of stars. And all of our temple sites are patterned on that ley line. So that smaller map takes it all the way to the Lake Titicaca region of South America, where Tiahuanaco is, proceeds from Tiahuanaco to the area of Cusco, to the Coricancha, to the main temple there, from there to the maiden ground of all shamanic traditions of Peru, Chavín de Huántar. And from Chavín de Huántar, it goes across to Serpent Island, which is Central America, and back into Turtle Island, which is North America. So that is a patterning that is also supported by this staff that I have here with the two hummingbirds. That is the lightning bolt of mystical illumination. We understand it to be coming from that galactic center and accelerating the human spiritualization on a planetary level that is part of our prophecies. So this background against the interstellar space provides us with a visual support of the magnitude and majesty that we are, in fact, shining ones, born of starlight, and that waking up to that realization allows us to transform fear into love, separation into wholeness, and most important, isolation into community, into a sense of belongingness with the rest of the pulsing, animate, latent creation that our ancestors were so fond of revering. So this is our background. That said, my journey as a, what could I say, friendly holographic projection by the name of Oscar, that is dedicated to shamanic teaching and healing, began with a encounter with a vampire bat when I was a year and a half in Pucallpa, which is the central rainforest region of Peru. And my father was working for the National Institutes of Public Health at the time, and he was stationed in very remote rural areas. From 1 year old to about 3.5, I lived in indigenous communities. My father was creating these postas médicas, these clinics, basically, that were part of the public mental health, basic health system delivery. And so in this particular community of Pucallpa, that is very well known for the Shipibo healers there, one night in my crib, a vampire bat, which was very common in that area, still is, flew into my room. And believe it or not, I was born with a very big head of hair. And so this bat grabbed onto my hair and got there. And I was very uncomfortable. I don't remember this until my father told me and my mother told me what had happened. And I remember struggling with it and rubbing my head against the rails of the crib, and the poor bat became obliterated. You know, I killed it. And so when they came into the morning, there was a bloodbath. Yet, and they were very concerned, you know, what's going on here? And they had to cut the little feet off, the claws of the bat off with a scissor and all of that. And my father kept those as a memoir for many, many moons. Now, in retrospect, they were told by the leader of that Shipibo community that was a very auspicious sign, that was a marking that I had great healing work to do. Now, of course, when my father told me that when I was older, I discounted it because I was a teenager and I was into other things and did not realize the import of it, how true that was. Yet over time, this bat medicine started to come into my dreaming, until when I was around 18 years old when I entered into my apprenticeship with my main mentor, Don Celso Rojas Palomino, in Salas Chiclayo. I realized that in the pre-Columbian cultures of the northern coastal area of Peru, primarily the Moche, the Mochica, the Chimu, that the bat was a symbol of the highest attainment of shamanic mastery. And so the nighttime mesadas or healing rituals that we used to perform there were always accompanied by bats flying around. And I realized that that medicine had been brought to me incarnationally from past lifetimes, and that the circumstances were created in a precise manner to allow me to have that first rite of passage, that first initiation at a year and a half years old. That, of course, were followed by other subsequent rites of passage that, if people are interested, can be found in my book, Lessons in Courage, for those of you that want a more detailed overview of these formative events in my life. For the most part, that encounter with a vampire bat really set the stage for my evolution as a servant of the light, in a nutshell. Now, of course, from a more practical perspective, I did spend many, many moons, 13 years in in-depth apprenticeship with my primary mentor in the northern coast of Peru, and then 3 subsequent years with a very renowned Paco, or Andean Highland curandero known as Don Benito Corihuano Vargas, from the city of Huasal, or the village of Huasal outside of Cusco. Yeah, so combined these experiences that were not anticipated together with those that I sought after formed the foundation of what my calling is to this day.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing about that. I had goosebumps all over me just listening to you talk about that initiatory experience at such an early age. And yeah, it is so true that so many of us who are meant to be walking this path do receive those initiations at quite an early age, whether we're aware of it consciously or not. And yeah, you certainly have walked that path in such a magical, beautiful way. So thank you for your service. Now, before we started to record, Don Oscar, we were just sharing a little bit about our lives with each other. And we were talking about the fact that there is a lot going on our planet right now. There's a lot of intensity on planet Earth right now. And would you please share with us what you shared with me earlier in terms of what you feel is actually going on? What is the purpose of these times of change and transformation that we are in?
Considered from the animacy imbued evolutionary shamanic lens of ancient Andean shamanic cosmology, this moment pulses with a profound energetic signature. The turbulence and birthing pangs of the prophecy Pachakuti, or the world reversal or cosmic transformation, is a cosmically scheduled era of radical transformation. So it's all about overturning obsolete structures that have outlived their spiritual and communal vitality. That's how we understand it in the Andes, right? So what we're experiencing now is not a mere chaos. It is the living anima mundi passionately shattering outdated illusions of separation, human dominance, and ecological negligence, in a sense, not in a sense, entirely. So it's an awakening stepped in, or steep, better said, in cosmic intelligence, which is beckoning humankind toward deeper integration with Mother Earth's soul, her rhythms, and embodied sovereign sanctity, right? So from an Andean perspective, reality is animated by living relationships and sacred reciprocity. The term Aini, which many people are familiar with, is the foundational cosmic law of balanced omnidimensional exchange, of right relationship, Aini. So the we understand this current global disarray from climate upheaval, social political discord, spiritual disorientation is an urgent calling home. It's a directive from the energetic heartbeat of creation. It's compelling us back into a loving relationship and shared experience of divine homeostasis with all that is. These are big words to say very simply. We're so out of balance that we're getting slammed with the necessity to die and be reborn. And we understand death as that which returns what life took away. So in a way, we're being called to really let go of being attached to knowing it all and open up to the flow and the uncertainty that is part of our soul's evolution. For the soul, as you well know, is all about mystery. It does not like clarity. It likes these sinuous, labyrinthine, undisclosed realms and domains of exploration and encounter without having to emerge from that journey being more enlightened, let's say. Yet, accepting that it is a humbling process of realizing we are but one small strand in the greater web of cosmic life. Yet, no matter how small, it is vitally important that we practice self-care and a service-oriented commitment to the restoration of sacred trust between humankind and the natural world in any way that we can. And if we look at it from the point of view of the Pachakuti Mesa tradition of cross-cultural shamanism, we are at a crossroads between worlds, a bridge spanning the dying Piscean paradigm marked by dualism, control, and hierarchical power structures toward the emerging Aquarian consciousness, heralded by unity, communal co-creation, and sacred stewardship. And it's a liminal passage, fraught with upheaval, yet ripe with promise. The necessary alchemical crucible, fostering spiritual maturation and collective renewal. So that's my take on it. That's what's happening. If we have the notion, often when we open up our altar grounds, we pray to Iya Texemuyu Taitanchis Wiracocha Pachacamac, the luminous creative consciousness that infuses everything. And it always radiates an influx of higher vibrational wisdom during times of breakdown, such as the one we're living through. And it's an excellent medicine for transforming fear into faith, conflict into compassion, chaos into coherence. So this energetic turbulence is necessary to catalyze humanity's spiritual evolution. It's necessary, and we do everything we can to befriend it in a ceremonial and earth beautifying manner. That's how we roll in the shamanic traditions of the Andes.
Beautiful. The alchemical crucible. Yes, indeed. And you talked about briefly there how important it is right now for all of us to take care of ourselves in the midst of everything that is going on. So what would your advice be to all of us in terms of how do we best take care of ourselves in these times? How do we look after our bodies and our minds and our spirits?
The most direct way is to speak less and embrace long periods of silence in a natural, unadulterated environment. Go out to nature, Immerse yourself in the sounds of nature. Allow whatever chirping of the bird song and the soft caressing sounds of the wind and the rumblings of the earth to be your voice, and spend extended periods of time bathing within that soul animated, animate field. That's the most important way of self-care that I can conceive of, at least for myself at this point. So periods of not isolation, but retreat from the chaos, very, very important. That's not to say you should become a hermit or deny your social connectivity with humankind. Yet it's most important to be able to, when you do speak, that you're speaking as medicine for the world, or that when you do act, that your action gestates sacred community and serves a larger purpose than only your own personal survival and safety. So it's a way to neutralize the dominant postmodern narcissistic self-absorbed direction that has gotten us into the mess we are now. Spend time in nature, treasure silence, commune with the majesty of our cosmic mother's blessings. Aside from that, hydrate yourself and eat good food, mostly plant-based. Take long walks, move your body, things of that nature. Do ceremony, create artistic, beautiful rituals. Very important, all these things. After, silence and listening to our mother's heartbeat.
Here, here. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. Resonating very strongly again with everything that you're saying there. Now, you've spoken about the cosmic mother. I think you used the term the great mother at one point as well. And what we've seen on our planet on a large scale over the past couple of decades or so, at least, is this beautiful awakening, this rise of the sacred feminine. And we've seen a lot of women take up leadership roles and really truly step onto that path of trailblazing the way forward and starting to balance out the masculine and the feminine energies that have been so off kilter on our planet for such a long time. What we're also now seeing more and more, at least in my opinion, is this beautiful rise of the sacred masculine, and more men really starting to truly understand what is needed in these times of change. From your perspective, what is the role of the sacred masculine right now?
To show up to invitations such as that which you have offered us two-legged, once Neanderthal men, in a manner that is non-patriarchal, in a manner that honors the feminine dimension within ourselves, to get in touch with our own relationality, with our own sense of empathy, with our own sense of an experience of being able to gestate new life in a caring, loving, nurturing manner, whether it be through our own progeny, our own children, or through the people that are part of our sacred community. So the role of the sacred masculine is no longer to be bound by distorted narratives of dominance or patriarchal force. It's emerging, as I see it, based on the men that are attracted to our hoops, to our sacred hoops, as an embodiment of harmonious strength and protective presence and visionary clarity. And I see more and more men waking up to the fact that they are capable of holding sacred space not equal to that of the women that are in our circles, but provide a complement to it. They offer steadiness and safety amid upheaval. They establish a container where transformative processes can unfold securely and consciously. That's very important for men to understand that that's really where their power lies. Also, I feel that it's long overdue that the sacred masculine be recognized as a expression of embodied leadership, that they can provide ethical direction and love source decisiveness, based on integrity, accountability, and alignment with ecological truth. That I feel also provides us with the ability to be active guardians that defends the earth and works toward its ecological regeneration. And most importantly, that we enter into balanced and sacred partnership with the sacred feminine, recognizing, honoring, and complementing feminine wisdom and creativity and intuitive guidance, and be co-creators in a balanced, harmonizing, and spiritually enriched culture of mutual reverence between men and women. So we're being recalibrated profoundly within every fiber of our being. And we're being called to take our rightful place as protectors and ethical stewards and loving co-creators of an interconnected, not only planet, yet cosmic reality. And I feel that our brothers that at least I have had the honor and privilege of apprenticing are going to take it to the next level, way beyond I've been able to do through my own transformation and my own respect and honoring and deep love for women as the catalyst of what is needed in the prophetic turning that we are experiencing right now. That's where I see our sacred masculine role.
Blessed be. So very beautiful. And I truly hope that more and more men will hear this message and will feel that recalibration taking place inside their bodies, their hearts, their souls, and will, in their own unique ways, start to consciously move in the direction that you were describing there. Beautiful. Now, Don Oscar, I want to make sure that our listeners get a chance to also connect with you if they wanted to find out more about your work, read your books, and perhaps even start to work with you in one way or another. What is the easiest place for them to go to?
www.theheartofthehealer.org. Theheartofthehealer.org. It's a plethora of opportunities for apprenticeship, to join into the co-creation of sacred community based on the shamanic arts and ritual healing practices of the Andes and cross-culturally, as well as you'll see many apprenticeship programs there that are led by our sanctioned teachers of the Pachakuti Mesa tradition and myself. I'm in a process of also passing forward the medicine into the capable hands of our community. So less and less I'm committing to the rest of my life to show up once a year for an international gathering somewhere. This year it's going to be in Colorado. Who knows where in the universe it'll be in the future, but you'll find all that information there. Plus I'll be doing some online classes. And then, of course, pilgrimages to sacred sites and things of that nature. Yet, heartofthehealer.org. Then there's this year in June, right now, there's an upcoming event through Sacred Stories, which is the publisher of my last book, Shamanism, that you were so kind to feature in our last interview, that will be taking place between the 6th and 8th of June in Atlanta. And I'll be on a panel there in person and also leading a workshop, an afternoon workshop. And so I'll be teaching on shamanism as a guiding light for the world. And then the workshop will be on awakening your shamanic soul. And I'm looking forward to that. I haven't been on a panel in a long time since my university days. So we'll see where that goes. Thank you for opening up the space for me to share this.
Absolutely. Yes. I wish I could be there in person in June. That would be absolutely amazing. Now, Don Oscar, I understand that you also have a gift for our audience. Would you please share a bit more about that as well?
The gift for our audience is a is a presentation that I did as an invited faculty member that was recorded through the Shift Network. And it's on the ritual artistry of Camasca curanderismo, of Peruvian folk healing, that I did for a friend of mine's year-long intensive, Puma, or Freddy Quispe. He's a well-known Andean mystical teacher that is in Peru and also does courses through the Shift. So he invited me to complement what he was doing through my perspective on Andean shamanic arts. And it's a recording with a lot of ceremonial practice as well as demonstrations that I feel is quite comprehensive and will fill in the gaps for people who have been to Peru or others that have practiced in Peruvian shamanic traditions that may be not seeing where the threads connect. I try to weave it together into a tapestry that is multicultural, colorful, and replicates the Inca rainbow flag. So that's the gift that I'm offering your listening and viewing audience.
Oh, thank you so much for that. We'll include the link to that offering in the show notes. I'm going to be downloading that myself for sure. Now, Don Oscar, is there anything else that's arising for you in this moment that you feel would be important for you to share?
My love for you, Emmy, my undying support of everything that you represent and that you have been able to overcome in your own life as an example to other women that are now forming the most important critical mass necessary to stabilize the dissonance that is impacting our lives on a planetary level. So what I'd like to say is that anybody listening to this that is a woman, that is in touch with their power and sovereignty, pass it forward, grow corn and potatoes with it, give it form, dance it, sing it, bake it, celebrate it, realize it. Never keep it to yourself. For if we keep these awakenings to ourselves, in the Andes, at least in the Andean mystical tradition, it is considered quite selfish. We must pass it forward freely and share it. And you're one of many examples of women that I truly see with my vista that are living their talk. They're not just talking it. And thank you for being that example, sister. And I say this with all earnesty in my heart.
Oh, bless you. Thank you so much. I needed to hear those words today. Really appreciate that, Don Oscar, and received.
You're awesome. And I can't wait to see you in the flesh someday.
Oh, that's in the bucket list. That's been in the bucket list for years now, Don Oscar. I'm going to make it happen one day. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming back onto the show, Don Oscar, and sharing your wisdom so openly and beautifully with all of us. And of course, for doing the work that you do and for truly embracing your calling and being a true lighthouse out there. Thank you.
It's all done with mirrors. Thank you. Much love.
Much love to you as well. Thank you so much. And everybody, let's just take a little moment here to focus on the powerful energy that's been generated during this chat here, and imagine sending this energy to everyone and everything on our planet, to remember that we are all truly one, and that the more of us have the courage to step into our sacred feminine power and to follow those callings, the more quickly our planet will also heal and ascend. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening.